When it comes to the walkers, those that combine together, consume together. Here's your look at the new Hiya toys. It's the Walking Dead Dead City Exquisite Mini Walker King. Hiya Toys introduces the new Exquisite Mini Series Walker King, a 1/18 scale action figure from The Walking Dead Dead City. In the June 2023 sequel series, The Walking Dead Dead City, Maggie and Negan confront a formidable foe, the Walker King, a grotesque amalgamation of multiple walkers, slime, decayed fat, and other putrid substances. This brand new Walker King action figure stands 4.2 inches tall, faithfully depicting its bloody and terrifying appearance. I guess this is the result of having sewer gases pressure and human corpses fester. Before though we get a closer look at the new Walker King, I'd like to first thank the folks over at Hiya Toys that did provide this sample. Hey now, this thing's slated to drop. I say this thing, it's made of many things. It's slated to drop this month, in fact, July 2025, for the asking price online of $25. Not bad at all. The tape measure is going to tell us, though, that despite of its many parts, it's still going to stand at around 4.5 inches in height. That's going to work out to be a figure that's about 11.5 centimeters tall. Though it's made of many bodies, comparing it now with one body. This is the Walking Dead Dead City Exquisite Mini Series Negan. Already, the problem with walkers is that they find friends. The problem then with the Walker King is that he's found his friends and he's fused them together. This is the result of having many of the corpses and the walkers deep inside the sewer dwellings, with the pressure and the heat, all resulting in them basically being merged together. Quite a horrific sight. And now that you have extra hands on your body, there's more hands and opportunities for them to grab a character like Negan. Speaking of grabbing, let's grab now the display stand that comes included with the Walker King. Out the gate, though, I love the fact that Hiya Toys chose to give us a different type of display stand. Just to bring in the original Negan display stand, we had ourselves a skull, we had ourselves what looks to be like the remains of a body, and we had ourselves a hand. This now gives us also an extra hand, although the hand now is reaching out the ground. I had a question when we looked at first Negan. I wonder how different the display stands were going to be with all the subsequent releases, and now the Walker King has sort of answered our question. There seems to be, at least so far, 2 unique display stands. These display stands, while I'm tapping them together and talking away, I'll stop that. You can't actually put them together like the Walker King. You can fuse them by taking the eye brackets that come included with any one of these releases. You don't necessarily need, though, 2. You have 2 slots, and slots. Basically, you take yourself your display stands and you merge them together. How cool is that? The more display stands you have, the more bigger opportunities you have for really dire-looking diorama. Very, very cool. I love the look of these display stands. The one thing, though, about this one being the one that comes included with the Walker King, if I just remove the eye bracket, we'll just put Negan's off to the side right now. There is a lot of space that needs to be occupied by the Walker King. The hand is, though, as you can see, looks like it's reaching out to him. The placement of the peg, I suppose, isn't all that bad. But one thing that you will end up finding yourself facing is that this foot always ends up rubbing against or bumping against this hand. I was kind of looking at this and I was looking at Negan's. Would Negan's have been any bit better? No, actually, Negan's, I think, is even worse because you got a big skull in the way. Maybe they could have given him a different type of display stand. It's not that it necessarily is in the way, but I just feel like, though, maybe the arm could have, in fact, been moved a little bit more off to the side, factoring, of course, the fact that you have to have your peg there and you have to have the figure's feet. If you turn this also around, you can, I suppose, also have it displayed that way as well, but it just looks like he's grabbing it from behind. Speaking of grabbing things from behind, what a segue that is. I'm sure there are things that could be grabbing from behind in the fact that the Walker King does actually have a second corpse body attached onto its shoulders. Just a horrific thing to see. Now, I honestly have not seen much of Walking Dead Dead City. I did, though, see the clip of the Walker King, and this thing looked gruesome. The thing, from what I remember at least of the clips, I don't recall, though, the corpse, the one that's on the back here, actually having a second pair of legs. Now, these legs may not belong, in fact, to this corpse at all. This corpse, actually, if we see in the clip, looks like it's just kind of hanging off of its side. These legs, in fact, could also have been the walkers that are inside the body. Wait, there's walkers inside the body? While Maggie is battling the Walker King, we actually see a couple of heads sticking their way out from the torso. Sadly, though, we don't get that with this figure. That could possibly be something that they could entertain with maybe a version 2 Walker King, where maybe it would have one of these arms out of the way and just have like larger heads instead. All these arms, by the way, are posable, which was really something that was impressing me, because I kind of really just expected to get this out of the packaging and think that things like these arms wouldn't move. They'd only be there for suggestion alone. But actually, though, I was surprised and happy to see that all of these arms, in fact, do have independent posability. I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. First, though, let's look at the gruesome face of the main Walker King. And, of course, off to the side there, we've got the smaller king, the smaller corpse. I don't really think it has necessarily names. It's just the name that it's been given. Cool-looking head sculpt, though. Cool corpse scene. Just gross. Love the coloring that they've done to the face. Lots of wash of red and just guts colors. I mean, what would be a guts color? Like browns, putrid pinks, like just slimy looking like greenish grays. That's all there. You'll find them all here on the Corpse King. Of course, though, on the back of the body, you can kind of see, though, how that this corpse is attached on the back of its torso. Now, this does not have any posability, nor really should it. I mean, that's already asking a lot for how much this thing can do on its own. But it does actually have head posability. You can also even, in fact, move the arms. Again, I was really surprised to see that. But all in all, though, it's just a gruesome-looking figure. My only one real issue that I have with the Walker King is the concerns I have with its loose knees. This one knee isn't so bad. I did notice, though, getting this out of the packaging, this one knee is loose. This, with all the extra weight that it has to bear on its shoulders and body, I would worry, though, with the knees. They have to be structurally strong. They have to be able to hold the figure. I wonder if, though, and it might just only be mine, really, too. I worry, though, that the knees may be starting to get too loose to hold all the weight that's above it. Speaking, though, of the weight that's above it, let's run through the figure's articulation, and there's a fair bit to cover as we get closer and closer and more gruesome. First, though, for the Corpse King's main head, the head's going to be on a ball joint, so already, right away, you can move the head back and forth, up and down. There is no mouth articulation. That would have been cool, but with the size of already what this is, I think it would be pretty impossible to put mouth articulation. This head also does move back and forth, up and down. This also looks like maybe someone that would have had to come across Art the Clown, maybe one of the Terrifier films. Just gruesome looking. But this also does head posability. It moves back and forth. It does move also the same, up and down. These shoulders do swivel back and forth. Thinking, though, first that they were only just going to be swivels, was again happy to find. I find a lot of happy things finding with this figure. There's actually hinge joints. So yeah, you can actually move the arms back and forth. The elbows do have a bend. You can also rotate the forearms as well, and you can rotate the hands. So that's just this corpse, the little piggybacking hitchhiker on the back of its body. Then you get all these extra things going on here. So the main arms, I suppose, for the Walker King, they're on hinges. I did notice, though, they're very tight, so just tread cautiously if whatever you do. They do hinge out. I may even, in fact, recommend heating these, though, in either hot water or a few passes, just with the hairdryer, just to soften those up. They do seem like they have hinges, so you can bring the arms out. They're just really tight. The arms do rotate all the way around. There's a single hinge only for the elbow. You also can rotate the forearm as well, and the hands. So basically take that idea, this idea, and this, again, add that by another 4. So all these extra arms, I guess there would be 3 arms, 2 legs on the back of the body. I'm losing track of everything here. I've never had to count so many limbs on a figure's body before. This arm does rotate forward and back. It does have a hinge, so you can move it there. Again, you've got yourself the hinge on the elbow, which is right there. You want to make sure, of course, you can see the joint before you start to bend it. Because if you can't see the joint and you go to bend it, you're only going to ultimately break it. And then you're going to break it and you're going to cry. Cry, cry, cry. Don't cry, whatever you do. Hands rotate, though, all the way around. Hinge back and forth there too. The same also for this arm and this arm here. So without really going redundantly through all the same levels of posability, just though imagine you can do the exact same thing on this arm. Forward and back and out. The same on this side. Same hinge joint on the elbows, so you can bend them there. And the same hands, again, you can rotate them all the way around. Just again, look at the sight of this. Let's maybe take a departure away from looking at the lower half of his body instead to look at the back. The back, this piece here, doesn't have a swivel. It does have a ball joint, though, so just be careful that you don't pop the legs off in the process. These just pop back in place. There we go. This torso piece, again, doesn't swivel. So this top doesn't. The lower waist area does not as well. But the legs are on ball joints, so you can bring the legs, well, you can move them out. You can do almost a Van Damme splits. That's probably one of the worst examples of comparing it to Van Damme splits. You can also move the legs forward and back. No issues there. These back legs also do have knee articulation in 2 places, 1 and 1. The feet also do have articulation, so you can move them back and forth. How many times have I already said now posability or articulation? So there's a fair bit that you can do just on the back of the feet. There are no pegs on the backs. I mean, not that really would. I guess it could really walk on its back legs. That'd be a little bit gross. The legs, though, I say gross. I mean, look at how gross this thing has been so far. There are ball joints, though, at the main legs of the Walker King. So again, you can split the legs about that far. They go forward and back. There's a swivel at the top of the thigh. Again, very loose on the knee. That's the one thing that kind of, again, concerns me. This knee isn't so bad. This knee I can easily move back and forth. I feel confident. I feel secure. I feel that this knee is going to still hold out. This knee, on the other hand, though, or on the other knee, is a little loose. Let's just be careful of that. Ankle pivot up and down, ankle rocker as well. Surprisingly, though, for all the parts that it has, and it's made of many gross parts, it seems to be able to hold its weight okay. It would be one of those things that if it didn't come included with a display stand, I would certainly look at this right away and think, you know, a company really need to include a display stand. The Walker King, though, does stand on its own, but I would certainly, though, recommend using a display stand to keep this thing upright. Again, I do really like the design of it. It certainly is one of the more interesting monster versions of walkers, because generally, like zombies, we get like the characteristic zombies that have notable traits about them. They have nicknames and they have things that the fans have called them and coined them. That the Walker King is certainly by far one of the most grotesque things we've seen in The Walking Dead. Made of many parts, as you can see, though, all the parts very, again, a credit to Hiya Toys that every one of those things could actually move. The only thing it can't seem to move is, again, the waist on the back legs, the torso on the back piggybacking hitchhiker. You can't move those, but you can move everything else around it. And then on top of that, the fact you get yourself a neat looking display stand. Walker King, though, is a fine looking figure. Still, though, the fact that they're charging only $24.99, $25 online, the asking price if you're looking to get any Exquisite miniseries for yourself. If you're a big fan of The Walking Dead, I would imagine you probably already have your sights set on this. Even if you're not a fan of Walking Dead, and maybe you don't have any invested interest to get yourself the Negan, looking at a character as grotesque and made of the many parts that it has, the Walker King, I could imagine, be one that someone would want to pick up, even if they're not so familiar with the series. I knew it was going to happen. I was going to leave out points of posability. Talking about limbs so much, I completely overlooked the fact that the Walker King does also have a posable upper torso and a posable lower stomach right around its waist, so you can move it around in those places too. I wouldn't want to spend the time to try to tally up how many posability points that figure has. If anybody's been watching along this video, you can let me know down below in the comments section. It's a lot. Needless to say, it's a lot. And Negan and Maggie would definitely be in trouble coming across this thing. Now, if you would like to come across the Walker King and add it to your current collection of the Exquisite miniseries that you've been collecting from Hiya Toys, just know, though, this guy's slated to drop. This many things is slated to drop July, this month, 2025. The asking price online, not bad, $24.99, $25. For that, you can't beat picking up an Exquisite miniseries of a zombie that looks this gross. I know we don't really call them zombies, we call them walkers. What do you guys, though, think of the Walker King? Let me know down below in the comments section. Instant pickup, perhaps? A big thank you again to the folks over at Hiya Toys that did provide this sample. Certainly, though, if you guys did enjoy this video, you can do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? Yeah, I hope so. Hit the subscribe, turn on that bell. The most important thing, of course, as always, is that you're coming back. We're going to be wrapping up things right now for Manhattan and the Dead City, but just know that there's going to be more videos in the pipeline coming your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.